It's a very relative term. That's what I want to tell you. You all have your understandings. Education is an extremely relative term. Like you say, it's not necessarily tied up with PhDs or masters or whatever. Sometimes all those help. Again, depending on, you tell me why. Why does it happen that when I hold interviews for lecturerships in mathematics or political science or whatever, so many candidates cannot think answers to simple questions. Simple questions, but those were not in their textbooks or whatever. What does that say about the way we are running some of our programs, of the degrees that we give? What are we giving the degrees for? So the system of education that you're talking about also, it depends on that. Everything is actually fitted in a certain framework. You need to see in which framework you're talking. Similarly, now let me take you towards what you have been already, I think, for some months discussing, or at least a month discussing, development. And that too, sustainable development. You tell me, is it education leads to sustainable development? Is it sustainable development that leads to education? Is it both? Is it one way? What is it? Some views?
It's a cycle. Each of both of them are dependent on each other.
You want to tell me how? Why you say that?
Like sustainable development can provide you that kind of an environment where education can flourish and educated individuals can contribute to sustainable development. They will be mature in their thinking, they will be considerate towards the environment, let's say. So they are that way both connected.
Yeah. Now, what does sustainable development mean to you? If what you're saying, I need to first understand what we all mean, are different, like you have different levels of, different ways of gauging education and different ways of looking at education. What do you have for sustainable development? When you're talking of sustainable development leads to education, what does that mean? What is sustainable development?
In literary terms, something which sustains.
Anything that sustains?
Meaning the way we look at it, it is that something development which sustains on its own.
So tell me what development is. That you just given me the adjective, but what is development? You want to say something in this? Your view?
Sustainable development is
Development. You just tell me development.
progressing in something else. Not
Yeah. So development is progress in some way, something you're saying. Some form of progress or growth. Yeah? This is the D part of it. So, what kind of progress or growth would you call sustainable? Can you give me an example of what is not sustainable? Maybe that helps me understand what you mean is sustainable.
Unjudicious use of resources is unsustainable.
No, give me an actual example of something that you consider happening around you and justify your example.
Cut down all the forest for
1 minute, he was talking just.
For example, in the rural areas of Nepal, there is problem of water. So rainwater harvesting for the use in coming months where there is drought, that is a sustainable use of water.
No, you're saying water is at a premium in Nepal.
Sorry?
In rural Nepal,
Right,
water is not easily available.
right.
Yeah? So, where is the sustainable development?
It's, rainwater harvesting.
Rainwater harvesting helps what?
Means the fulfillment of water. So for the months where there is difficulty in water, we can use that water. Means that is the sustainable use of water, judicious use of water.
Yeah, but where is the development?
Means for that means you don't have to go up bottom of the hill to bring the water. Means it saves your time, it saves your energy.
No, I'm saying sustainable growth, sustainable progress. So you need to complete it, maybe you need to add it to in some context. For the farming, for harvesting, you're saying.
Yeah.
So to improve your farming, you need to do that. Improve your output.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Okay.
There is also a perspective of development. If you read the work Development as Freedom by Professor Amartya Sen, he also adds that development at its core, as opposed to economic growth, is the broadening of choice for an individual or for a community. Economic growth is purely in standard of living or monetary terms, but development is actually broadening of opportunities or choices. So education in terms of addition of wisdom or maturity will lead to sustainable improvement in the choices an individual or a community has.
Yeah? Yeah. Okay.
Delhi, we have to expand. Like, supposing we have to build much more houses. So once we don't have the land, what we are trying to do is redevelopment of existing colonies. Where we have low-rise structures, instead of that, we take that land and go for multi-story. That is a development. To make it sustainable development, because the water lines, the sewer lines, and all the facilities, we don't want to overload them. So to make it sustainable, we organize the plot development in such a way that we don't overload the resources and develop the resources on their own in that particular plot itself.
Ma'am, can I add to that? There are 400 definitions of sustainable development, and it is said the most acceptable one was the one at the UN Conference on Environment and Development in our common future, which is development of present generations in a way which doesn't compromise the ability of future generations to meet their own needs.
It is organic farming. Organic farming is a form of sustainable development because we increase the growth, we increase the production, as well as we don't deplete the resources in the same way because we don't use the fertilizers, and we can use technology also like drip water irrigation system or sprinkler system so that we can use less water. So we are even sustaining, like we are reducing the usage of water as well as land, and then we are still trying to develop ourselves by increasing the growth of production. It's a kind of sustainable development procedure, I think so.
Okay. This is the more crucial point. Yes, everything, but this is the crucial point. What we are doing is we are saying, are we giving something for the earth to continue for the future in a better way? Not even the immediate future. Am I immediately getting gratification? Am I immediately getting the money, shortcuts and so on, versus a longer growth? This is really crucial. And what measures can we learn, share, practice, and take further? This is really what helps you on various fronts, all fronts that help what you're calling your indices of whatever human development indices, which of course every 2 years they get questioned, something new comes up. You are aware of the human development indices that Mehboob ul Haq from Pakistan and others did develop. You studied about that. Amartya Sen also was in that group. And then there have been arguments about why those suffice or don't suffice. That includes, of course, standard of living. But it's very individualistic in that sense, and you're not looking, as was raised, issues of the marginalized, how they are living, the gender parity issues. Then each would come up with another index, a marginalized index or a gender parity index or something like that. So these are really things that as a whole we have to look at. And as a whole, if we have to look at, does education, the way it is at present, help us? Now, what is your education system at present? All of you have been through school. I mean, the curricular framework I have now, unfortunately, you people would have finished by the time that came into play. That is from the constructivist viewpoint. We have it there. The critical thinking that you're talking of, the processes of asking, questioning, looking for answers, building, looking at links between different things, between what's happening around you in the world, inside and outside the classroom. These are focused on and given preeminence. The learner is the chief player in this, each learner. Now, if this is so, and yet we have the class 11 and 12, where you can only take these 5 subjects and not these 5 in the formal system, yeah? You may be interested in this and this, but that combination is not available in my school, therefore I can't take it. So where does that leave me to grow according to my capabilities and my interests? Of course, the open school and open university, of course, as my place, is what I've helped grow in the country. These give you more flexibility. They allow you for your own pace. The open schooling system to some extent has given some more flexibility. But can we not have a blend of this in our system? Then, even with the RTE, have all of you looked at the Right to Education Act that came in actually 2010 in practice, though it's the RTE 2009. 2010 it started, and it's nowhere near finally in place. It's been given some time to be in place till March 2013, which may be pushed a little more because of the state's problems. Here, when I'm talking of the state, let me just remind you of something that all of you know. Education is on the concurrent list. Some areas which are your health and other indicators of development of a country are centrally looked at, and some are state-based as far as the actions they can take when they're on the concurrent list. I don't know, some of you from the services understand the term. Where the state really needs to take the decision, the center can only advise. Center can even fund to some extent. But beyond that, the states have to take it further if they believe in it or for whatever fits into their model. So each state, each UT, etc., and district in fact, has its own requirements, its own conditions, its own criteria of focus. Some can be an agriculturally oriented area, some may be a dry, hilly area and may need something else, and so on and so forth. Some is remote. I mean, we have the whole range. I don't need to tell you that. So, how do we deal with this situation? How are we dealing with it? Is the RTE, I mean, I'm talking in the context of education system, formal education system now. Does it allow for education as you were talking about education? Question 1. 2, to what extent does it, if it does? Or otherwise, can we bring in, can we suggest some tweaking that will fix it? Or does it need a complete overhaul for that? What would you do? What could you, each of you, do or think, each or collectively, community-wise, for this? That's what we need to think about. It is not easy. Of course, we always keep saying our parliamentarians don't do this, that, and the other. The netas don't do, the bureaucrats don't do. Some of the bureaucrats I hear. But they're doing, I believe. They're trying. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got to where we have got. Whether you agree that it is, proper development, sustainable, it is a movement. Whatever we have moved. What we are talking of an education system in this day and age, if you think it is appropriate, maybe yes, but remember 50 years earlier, it was a different scenario. Now, it's a different scenario. Your plans have to change accordingly also, your 5-year plans. So should not your systems, other systems, match the plans? Are they matching them? Are your developmental plans matching it? Are your educational plans taking into account the needs of your districts? You know about this district primary education project, DPEP, that was in place for some years, and now it's become SSA. It was district oriented in certain districts in certain states only. But even there, if you lay down a syllabus or a curriculum district-wise, does it suffice to meet the village level needs of different villages? Does it always suffice? Does it suffice in some cases? It's a huge ball game. Very heavy, very long, very complex, in which each one of us is involved at each level. The individual, the social structures and people in those structures, all of them, in fact, when you start asking and developing critical thinking, your teacher first gets shaken. All this time, she thought she was God, or was supposed to act as if she is God. And then she doesn't know all the answers. So if she comes up front and says, look, I don't know, let's find out the answers together. That's a huge shift of looking at things, a huge shift. You think of that rural school where the resources like internet are really not available. Once internet has come to us, you do tuck, 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 and you get a lot of information, right or wrong. Education helps you look at it critically and see what use you can make of that. To me, a person appears educated, like you are saying, if she herself says that, yes, I am this, but am I this? Should I be this? Shouldn't I think about something else? Am I right in saying so? And if convinced, then taking a stand also. In every I don't know, school and all, we sing Ekla Cholo Re. You've heard of this. যদি তোরে দক্ষিণে কই না আসে তবে একলা চলা রে provided you've thought and going ekla. Of course, Tagore assumed everybody thought, but the thing is, yes, whether you go ekla or whether you go with other people, if we have thought about it and done it, that is where we are using our processes, which is education, and helping towards whatever our personal growth, our community's growth, or whichever. Now, coming to this formal economic growth and so on progress, what are your views on this? I know you are just now in TERI, and the politically correct thing is to say sustainable and so on. But what do you really think? Do you really think that the GDP growing at 6.5 or 8 is helping India or is helping China for China's growth and so on? If Pakistan is going at 0.5% less, we are happy? Is that okay? Because we are more or less in the same conditions and we think we are better off? What do you believe? What do you believe?
The growth of GDP must be in a way that everyone gets satisfied, something feels happy. That is, everyone must get their basic needs like food, shelter, education. And the present growth of GDP is like that. The rich getting more GDP. If it to be not in the stats, the rich getting the more GDP. If you take the average GDP of the rich people, it's much more higher. Whereas if you take the people below poverty, it's not at all increasing. We need to see in a
What is below poverty nowadays?
We cannot say appropriately because which is below poverty. The thing is the GDP of people who are living with the good comforts is relatively increasing. Their incomes are increasing, their luxury comforts are increasing. The people who are living below this line, not feeling
So does it help India?
I don't
That's
think.
my question.
No, I don't think so that it helps India. That growth should be in a proper way, and the greatest problem we are
What
facing.
is proper? Proper to you is this everybody
No,
should be happy.
the proper thing is there should be a social equality. The growth should be in a social equality way.
Okay.
I do feel so.
Okay, yeah.
There is, since you're from the quantitative background, you would have more views on the GDP.
No, please say whatever. You don't.
Primarily being that through this indicator, there is a general lack of respect for other paradigms of existence. Let's say, for example, if in Orissa, the tribals that have certain faith in a particular mountain or that is considered less in comparison to having an industry over there that can add more economic value, which is numbers essentially. So there's a lack of respect towards different ways of living, like how people choose to live in the villages, but they must be educated to a certain level.
You've heard of Thoreau, no?
Paul Thoreau, yeah.
Okay. So back to sustainability.
There is also a perspective which says that economic growth itself is not an independent variable. It is a function of economic freedom. And if one looks at the empirical evidence, then the nations or cities that have the highest levels of economic freedom end up doing well economically. And economic freedom is related to social mobility, occupational mobility, and factors of a similar nature. In India, we still have a lot of way to go before we have economic freedom. So,
What does economic freedom require in terms of education? Education as in what you people were talking about.
One must have a resilient education system which is not hampered or influenced by interest groups or politicians or their agendas.
Yes. You see, education and development, both of these have a very strong political impact, and possibility